closed February 2023 stats are in, and what is going on with the San Jose market and prices? Well, stay tuned. We're covering that today. Hi, I'm Theresa Wellman with HomeownerExperience.com. I'm here with my monthly market update. There's a lot been changing, and there is a story going on with interest rates and inflation and inventory. Whoa, you're going to be so surprised with the inventory in this market. So let's talk a little bit about the Santa Clara County market overview. Let's look at the charts and get into it. As I mentioned, there is a battle between supply and demand because our inventory is still so low. We are at only 531 homes available in all of Santa Clara County. That has over 3 million people. And that is 1/5 of our 20-year average. Our average since 2013, the last 10 years, is 1,045. So we are just so low right now for inventory. And that is really driving a little bit of the market because we're starting to see some overbidding as I thought might happen because this low inventory. So what I find really interesting though is that the demand is still there. People are still buying despite interest rates going up the last several weeks. So we're looking at closed data here for February, which is when buyers got in contract in January when interest rates were a little bit better. So that's probably why we're seeing that boost in sales price to list price ratio, but interesting things to note for sure. So if we're looking at this trend and we're looking, prices dropped, they popped back up in January closings, and then we saw a slight settling, not much, of February closing. That's due a lot to the sales that were closing, just a little bit more lower end price point homes selling. So here's the upward trend of interest rates that I'm talking about. The last 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's been going up and it's averaging about 6.65 for a 30-year fixed mortgage right now. Now, buyers are not really getting that 30-year fixed mortgage. They're sticking to a 5 and 7-year ARM, hoping they can refinance once inflation is under control. But as inflation goes up, rates go up, and you've probably heard the numbers. That's why our interest rates have been going up. All right, unemployment. Unfortunately, we're still seeing a December number of 2%. This has been updated in February, but I don't know why they're not giving us January numbers. So hopefully next month we'll have a better up-to-date number on this, but we're still holding really low for unemployment. So stay tuned. We'll get into the forecast and the actual San Jose stats. So here's the San Jose chart. Now, the supply, again, really low. What we're seeing in Santa Clara County, we're definitely seeing in San Jose. It is the biggest city area within Santa Clara County. 50% of Santa Clara County sales happen within San Jose. So it is a good metric of what's going on. Now, our supply, look, it actually dipped a tiny bit and it is low. We can count the number of times here that it's happened this low, and they were winter months. And here we are going into March and we're still at these low numbers. Very unusual. The demand is popping back up. Now, ultimately, it's really low for the last several years. We haven't seen sales numbers this low. Again, that huge change in interest rates that we saw in 2022 has affected buyer capability to afford these prices, right? But buyers are jumping back in. I'm seeing people who just need to move for life reasons, whether they are looking for good schools for their kids, their family's expanding, they're newly married. All of those type of life changes are encouraging people to get into the housing market and buy, and they're still finding it possible with these interest rates and prices. Okay, so currently in San Jose, we have 295 pending sales, which is great. Our inventory is only 223, which is down from 238 last year. But if we have pending sales more than that already, you can see that we've got a supply and demand problem. This is that battle of supply and demand that I'm talking about. That's really the story that's going on right now. Our days of inventory is just over a month with those numbers and calculations. And you can see, looking at this yellow line and the green line, I don't think it's going to invert this year, but if it does, like it did during the pandemic, that's when it gets really crazy with overbidding. So let's look at the actual numbers for San Jose. The average price for February closed sales was $1.434 million. See, it's a lot of lower end sales that were happening during that time for single families, not as many big ones. It's down from last month. It's down 19% from a year ago. But a year ago is when we were seeing that crazy overbidding. Look at the average of 18% over is what buyers were paying in their closings of February last year. February and March were really high overbidding, and we're not seeing that. Last month it was under list price. This month we popped up to just 2% above list price. Again, that supply and demand battle is causing a little bit of overbidding because there's multiple offers on most properties. Our days of inventory down to 37 in San Jose, 161 closed sales, which is up from last month, which we would expect and we saw on the chart, but still down from a year ago. And inventory is almost the same as a year ago, which is crazy because the pandemic was unusual, not a typical market. So our inventory right now is extremely low. And our prices, they're just trying to find a normal balance with the supply and demand going on and the interest rates. It's kind of this story that we're seeing all the way through. So stay tuned. I'll give you a little bit of a forecast, what I see coming forward, and then we're going to get into the condo townhome market. If you like this content, please give me a thumbs up or comment below with any questions. Okay, let's look quickly. I haven't looked at this chart in a while of the S&P 500 versus the average price in Santa Clara County. It's interesting. You usually see the ebbs and flows of the stock market in the housing prices. So stock market settled slightly in February, as did the prices. Interesting, right? So both made a slight reverse, but nothing drastic. So let's look at the forecast that I have here for San Jose. If our supply, I've said this before, it's the same forecast I've been talking about. If our supply continues to stay low, we're going to start to see some overbidding here in the spring, which we did 2% over on average, right? And the demand is likely to continue to push those prices up until we get enough inventory to satisfy. Now, if interest rates go down again, that's going to push even more demand into the market, right? So we're doing this balance of supply and demand and other factors that are affecting the demand that are going to really drive our market going forward. So again, if unemployment stays low, we continue to have good demand, then that is fueling this local market. So I expect that we're going to see appreciation, although very slight, over the next few months through the spring, probably through May or June, and then prices probably to settle a little bit like what I saw in 2019, like I've talked about here before, with appreciation, which we're not seeing that peak yet, maybe March and April. Then it holds till the middle of the year, and then the prices drop and kind of settle, ending up year over year with a small appreciation. That's my forecast. Now let's dig into the countywide condo and townhome market. So we're seeing a very similar thing here to the rest of San Jose and the rest of Santa Clara County. Supply is really low. Sales are popping back up because buyers are getting into the market. The median here is holding. The average went slightly down. Again, lower end properties are selling. Seeing some move up buyers happening, not as many, but definitely people are active in the market, just in the condo market as well. Average price for condos and townhomes is $920,000, and they're selling just over 1% over asking price because our supply and demand problem, the theme that we're seeing throughout this entire month. Closed sales, 165, inventory, 217. So our days of inventory is really close right now. I don't know that this 67 number actually is correct. I'm going to double check that. To me, that looks pretty close, that we should be not far off of maybe a 45 days of inventory. So I hope you find this information really valuable. What can we do to help you out next? Are you curious what your home is worth? Well, definitely check out the link I've got there. I'll do some research for you, no problem. Pull some actual stats and give you a real number of what the market, your home is worth today. Not what Zillow is saying, because that's a mathematical calculation, but a real number. And if you're considering buying a house in San Jose, I encourage you to go over to homeownerexperience.com and search properties there. Why? Well, because if you set up a free account, we can go back and forth on properties. I can help you learn neighborhoods, help you understand why some neighborhoods are more expensive than others, and you'll have an agent there on your team to guide you through that search. And lastly, before you go, sign up for our education-focused newsletter. We have some of these market updates, as well as other videos that we're posting, and some great events that we're having locally as well. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you found this information very valuable.